G'day everybody, Aussie Coin Girl here, and got a beautiful sight for you right now. Look at these. These are all 2020 and 2021 Australian coins, minted bullion, and they come from the Royal Australian Mint and from the Perth Mint, and most of our bullion, 90% of it is exported to overseas, and we're left with 10% to fight between all the stackers and, people that want to look after themselves. Well, myself personally, being Aussie Coin Girl, I started a number of years ago, first of all, wanting to stack $2 coins, Australian modern $2 coins, and when I was doing it, they started. What took my interest was because I was actually a workaholic. So what I used to do then was these coloured. They actually Royal Australian Mint started coming out with these coloured $2 coins, and they had like a normal copper type of coin, and they'd have a coloured little bit in the centre, and some of them would have low mintages, 200,000 or 5,000 and so forth, and I suppose it was just being maybe a bit of a girl there, picking the colour, and at the same time, from when I was a young little tight little girl, I did the first 4 years of my life at my grandparents, and they had a big house, and lived in a place in Doncaster, and sort of like on an acre property, and my grandfather and that was a photographer, and my grandmother died obviously quite young, but my grandfather was a photographer, and also he drew things and that, and everything was old, like the house was full of, old desks, solid desks, old books, photographs everywhere, and being a little girl, I don't know, just something. I was inquisitive always, what are you doing, Grandpa? And my uncles, so my mum was the only girl in the family and had 3 brothers, and mum was the oldest, so when I was little, being, staying with my grandparents and stuff, so I'd obviously be a little bit of a busybody, and want to go into my, my uncle's bedrooms and things, and obviously my grandfather's. Like one of the things that intrigued me was his desk, because he always had stuff everywhere, and drawers are full. So, every now and then, as I got a little bit taller and a little bit stronger, I would sneak peek, into many of the drawers. And I'd want to just, I suppose, see what's in there, I wouldn't say I was a sticky nose. Maybe today, might think that I'm a sticky nose, but not always a sticky nose, but anyway, and in there I would find, I found like pens, and he had inkwells, and he had an old, the old inkwell pens and feather type things, books going back to, 19th centuries, and a lot of old artwork, and even these photographs and artwork, like just all sorts of stuff, and I was intrigued, but every now and then too, then I would come across these little pieces of silver, pretty much like the size of these, as an example, right? These are little 1/10 Trump silver coins, but basically old decimal Australian coins, and they would, pre-decimal, like as in, well, I didn't know anything about that then. I was, maybe 5 years old or something, 6 years old. And these little coins, they'd fit in my hand, I was a little girl and had a tiny little hand, and they fitted in my hand. And just like, what are these? I didn't actually know then that they were monetary silver coins. They look like, to me, just like little buttons, or something, like I thought actually they were buttons, or little things that, like that made pendants, for necklaces, and I thought, and that's it. And obviously I didn't take them. I was, not that naughty. And then I'd hear someone coming, and then I'd run away and close the drawer, and every now and then I'd go in there, and I'd go again, even 6 months later, and they were still sitting in his drawer, like nothing happening. No one's bringing them out. No one's doing anything. And I'm like, what? You know, and then I got, you know, a couple of years later, I was getting a little bit older, probably 8 years old, and you know, looking for books and seeing what great, you know, having a sticky nose, yeah, in his bookshelves, and seeing these different types of books and things, and some of them I pulled out was a couple albums, you know, like I thought, this is where you put your photos and that, you know, and I bring them out, and I'm like, oh. And there's all these little slots, and they had these same things, these little silver. Well, I didn't know they were silver, or I didn't know they're just little metal buttons, as far as I was concerned. And then I'd sat down at his desk, and his massive desk, you know, and this big, you know, old chair, you know, had like a green leather, you know, back and seat, and it had the old probably like cherry wood frame and that. And sitting there, and I'm looking through this album, and I'm going just one at a time, like, who are these pictures, you know? Why, you know, who's that on, you know, who's that, you know? And who are these people, you know? And then only like probably a year later, probably about 9, I noticed, you know, oh, he's still got them there, and they're just sitting in there. So I pulled it out one day, and then I turned around and said, okay, I pulled Grandpa aside, and he gave me some time, and we went, and I said, Grandpa, what's this, you know, and what's this album? And then he told me that this was an album of, these are Australian coins, and these were old coins. So, and he told me the story that the Australian government brought these in 1910 in Australia, the first coins, and we had these around until the year 1964. So, and then a couple of years later, 2 years later, in 1966, we started bringing out the coins that we have today in shape, which is the Australian normal coins, which aren't anywhere near, no silver, no nothing in them, which is any coins that I knew, you know. I knew them from pocket money and watching what my mum, you know, going to pay for things and so on. And so then I was like, wow, and, you know, tell me about it. And then he told me some stories, and he told me about this lady, Queen Elizabeth, you know. And then he said, then he showed me this other one and said this is another one, that's her father, and she was the queen, and you know, and then she had, you know, couple of sons, and you know, she was the Queen of England, but also the Queen of, you know, Australia and New Zealand. And I thought, you know, I said, well, what's she like, you know? And then I sort of like, you know, I was so like overwhelmed and you know, like about these royal people, that's who they were. And then he showed me one of these really old coins, and I saw, you know, a picture of her great grandfather, and then I saw and then another one was Victoria, and I thought, oh wow. You know, and I was fascinated, and then from that day I was hooked, you know, and I really, you know, every now and then for the rest of my life, either I worked, you know, to help my grandfather out with some things over the years, and then maybe every couple of years he, you know, might give me a little silver coin, and then he told me about what they were, differences of what coins were made of. You know, I didn't know then about silver and gold, and you know, now that was, to me, these coins, everything just looked, you know, really new and shiny, and I was so fascinated. So that's how I got involved in precious metals. And only just a couple of years ago that I started getting into expanding into bullion. You know, it started because I liked these koalas. Oh, it's like, I want to get a couple of those, you know. And I had to, you know, and I thought, they didn't know these are bullion, you know. And people collect these to save for a monetary value. And so since then I've, as you can see, become a bit of an obsessed, you know, I suppose coin collector plus also bullion staker. And as you can see, like items like this that Australia produces, why wouldn't you? So the other scenarios, guys, here's the two that, well, you've seen all that. These are the two famous red kangaroo on a Perth Mint Australian kangaroo silver coin. Well, I'd like to show you now is 221. Alright, here's our 221. It's just been released and I've just got my hands on something. Now, the only difference really is this date here. But here's our 2021 Australian kangaroo. And it's just gorgeous, isn't it? Look at these, it's very, very high into, for anti, copying and so forth, that they've come up with these beautiful lines behind the kangaroo. Now, this is obviously the I suppose the artistry of the original red kangaroo that Australian Perth Mint has had on their coins for the same number of years. So if I pick up the 220 as well, you'll probably notice there's really no difference. So only on the gold coin that they've changed the artistry, and they've gone with a crouching kangaroo. So oopsie. But yeah, here's our 2021 Australian kangaroo. So again, Miss lovely Queen Elizabeth, there she is in all her glory. Some people might, are going out there and saying, like, hate the royalty or don't like queens and that. But I tell you, from a woman's point of view, guys and girls and family members, is, what a strong person, from a woman's point of view. Quite fascinating. The strength of this woman, so she's quite, a great influence for all the women out there that want to be something or someone, or be, trying to get control of themselves and their families and wealth and be a leader in their own family or leader in society. So from my point of view, and I think there's a number of women out there, good on Queen Elizabeth. So, from that point of view, not royalty itself, but as in Queen Elizabeth, a strong woman, very, very good for women in society. She's always acted with dignity and pulled the royal family up when it's needed, and she's done a lot for Britain and the Commonwealth. Well, I hope you guys have enjoyed tuning into my little chat here, and I hope you've loved having a look at some of this bounty, this beautiful stuff. And yeah, look at this. I mean, really, at the end of the day, yeah, definitely I had 100 ounces of Aussie silver, and thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you again soon. And I hope you enjoyed hearing a little bit of how I got into collecting and bullion. Thank you so much. Aussie Coin Girl tuning out and saying, no bullshit here. And feel free to email or message me with any time, any questions. Well, guys, thank you again. Ciao for now.